Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our second week of workshop about birds, moods, and edges. And yeah, thank you to everyone for a great participation last week. It was really nice to chat with you all. And I see some homework was uploaded, so that's fun. I hope that even if you didn't digitally or physically go through the whole edge finding exercise, the black and white other artists, I hope that you look at that, because I do think that's a good way to practice seeing, and I hope you found that kind of fun and different. Yeah, so last week we did black and white. Today we're going to look at adding some color and looking at that a little bit more. I think what we'll do first is I'm just going to go through a little slideshow of my birds. I've painted a lot of birds, it seems, although I do paint a lot of other things too. So I think we'll just start easy with that, looking at some other birds, and then we'll look at your homework and maybe take a little break after that before doing some painting if you want to paint along. Yeah. Okay, so I know how to just share the screen with oh wow. Yeah, oops. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's not. So please feel free to chime in with any questions or comments along the way too. There we go. Okay, you can kind of tell from the texture that this is super tiny. Like you can see the scale of the canvas. So I guess I just wanted to say that I like to work really small in order to be loose. And it's kind of when you're working super small, you have a lot of control. I think it's why I have challenge. It challenges me to work big. I like to have control of the whole thing at once. So that I think is a benefit of working small. And this is a 4-inch square little linen canvas panel. Yeah, and I think it's another example of looseness. I did this thing I sometimes do. Can you see my cursor? I think right here, like where I think I scratched like with the back end of my brush. Sometimes I do that. Just some things about textures and edges that can kind of make a crisp edge if you're in a hurry and there's lots of material on the canvas. Something I've tried you might like, or sometimes I'll play with like a rubber tool. I encourage you to try different tools that might make different edges, whatever works for you. You can see there's some canvas showing. So the paint itself is both really thin or non-existent and then quite thick in a few areas. I just think that's sometimes interesting to have a variety of thicknesses in the paint, as it helps with edge creation as well, and texture and mood and color. So kind of everything. This guy was kind of a favorite. I'm just going to move this up. I had done 4 from the same reference image, which I have here, I think. Oh, shoot. Okay, never mind. Anyways, it's from the same bird in the same little video clip. So as I discussed, I like using video quite often versus photographs, because you then have the option to replay, grab screenshot of whatever gestures you enjoy. And it's nice. It's also a fun idea to do a series while you've got your paint and colors out. And these are small as well. So that's just something I encourage for practice, and just being I think you can be looser when you're quicker and when you're not so invested. So sometimes multiples is a nice way to go. And using the same video clip means that the colors are going to be cohesive between them all. I was actually pushing the color with this series where in this case I was doing it on a board that was quite yellow. There's some, find the one, this one I was trying to use more blues. I think I even toned the canvas or a board. I think this one was hardboard with blue first. And that can that's another way to give a mood. This one has there was some yellow poking through from the way it was primed. But then at the end, I actually reestablished some yellow as if it was canvas showing through, but that's kind of faked in just as a way to keep that action going. And I think that every color has a different mood. For me, I was trying to make this one a little bit brighter. I tend to like muted cohesive colors, and this was a bit of a challenge for myself to add some more color in some ways. These are all from the same time period where I was doing multiples. There was kind of like a blue series, a bright yellow series, an ochre series. You can see the board itself was toned a really light blue, which I tried to keep in. And then I threw a couple shots of it in at the end, sort of where I wanted to have it break through again. And you can see I did some pencil scratches there. I think somebody asked last week about, because our model for the black and white had the beak showing in profile. And this is a case where the beak is within the body. And I think there's enough there to know it's a beak, but it is interesting to note, like, this is not as bright of contrast as the foot there. So it's the beak, just because the beak is kind of the most important in quotes, it doesn't necessarily have to be the brightest. And it's a common thing we do with portraits of people as well, is we'll make the contrast in the eyes more high than we see it for real, because we understand that eyes are important. So we will sometimes overemphasize things that are psychologically important when it's not maybe necessary. And it's a choice. I mean, I could have emphasized that, and maybe that would have been cool too, but I enjoy leaving things as a bit of what would you call that? I don't know, like something that for people to discover later and not be kind of slammed over the head with it right away. Depending, it all just depends how it is. I was trying to find another, that's one where the beak is in profile. I mean, just my personal taste. I like the more muted, really similar tones like that, but I think it's fun to push color as well. This one had some blue. No, it's not quite the same pose, but close. They're all quite similar, obviously. And again, that one has some scratches, and these are all small. So I guess I was wanting to talk about, yeah, scale and color, and how it's a great exercise to practice and control that on a small scale. There's another, I might have already done that. Yeah, we already looked at that blue one. So this was the same. Yeah, these two were the same board that had been toned like a kind of cyan blue. And yeah, in this one, there's a beak. This is a similar pose to what we were dealing with last week, black and white, actually, in profile, but I've ended up emphasizing, like, the brightest, clearest edges, I'd say, are down here for the back of the heel. And that's not because it's most important. It just is the way the lighting is, or the way that it describes the form. I think it was really important to know that he's a solid, actually, Stephanie, is that a girl again that I'm calling a boy? That she's a solid form. So you do need to initially remember that it's basically a ball. Like I painted a lot of apples for a few summers. I just painted apples, like during college, I think, and I sold apple paintings, and apples are such an amazing model, and a good way. It's always a rounded form, so it's a great practice as well if you want to paint from life. Apples or pears are another thing I love to just keep, and I often will have that in my mind when I'm painting a bird or a face, that overall the main point is that it's a three-dimensional object. And so some of these things, like this one swoop there, that's a pretty huge scale brush for the painting. Like, I guess that's probably almost an inch, and the painting's like 5 inches across. So using a massive brush is a way to force yourself to be generalized, at least initially, like the way that we started last week. This could be, this could be done in black and white as well. If you're using a huge brush, and especially only black and white or brown and white cohesive colors, that is a great way to practice edges, because you sort of have to be general. It's quite difficult to get the detail, and only adding it in a couple spots is a fun way to go. I don't know. Birds are so cute. They're just fun. Here's one where her beak is within the form. So at first glance, you just see a ball and a tail, but even when you reduce it quite small, I think you get a pretty quick read that it's a bird. It's amazing in the way that I guess I'm really trusting the viewer to understand that it's a bird, and our eyes and brains are wired to find, those like those ink tests, like we're wired to find meaning even when there isn't. So people will know it's a bird. You don't need to describe it all if you don't want to. Okay. Anybody have any comments? And I'll just keep looking for new ones.
These are beautiful.
Sorry, pardon?
These are beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Regina. I kind of missed them. I sold them sort of all at once. I kept a few. This is one where it's a bit sharper, like a little bit more detail, and the paint is almost used more thinly, I'd say. I believe it's still got to be like it might be 6 inches square, but it's still small. One thing I see in this that I notice is that there's a sort of a complementary thing going on, where there's a lot of most of it's reddish browns, but then the sort of complement would be the greeny grays that are showing up, that are a little bit opposite. And it's fun to see that even in the highlights, like even the whites it's hard to tell here, but they're a little bit greenish in tone compared to the very dark reddish browns. And that sort of is something I don't know if I consciously think about it, but it is a nice way to go. If you're noticing that your darks are a certain color, a tiny bit of the opposite tone in the lights is often nice to bring some energy. And again, that's all about mood. I think that most of my work will have sort of a single overall tone. Like I'd say this one's kind of reddish brown, like this one's kind of bluish gray. And I don't know, it's not like I'm really intentionally doing that, but it feels moody that way, I believe. I like that. This one's kind of older. I just included it because it's kind of an extreme version of, I had very thin paint, it was almost like drippy watercolory. And that's kind of interesting for action and edges. But because of that, I did need to kind of instinctively, will reestablish these sharp lines in a couple spots, whereas the tail I didn't. I just let that go, I guess. And I like the way the background, if I'm fast with my dark initial block in, the background and against that, if left, is often some spots of really nice hard clarity, just for fun. Here's a bit more of a refined robin. I was trying to make myself use color here, and I do like it. It's something I'm considering for myself in my work, is just how much color and why, like how is it moody or not. And here's something to look at for the edge. Is this is a single edge of the bird, and yet here it's really not hard, whereas part of it there is, just to show that along the same physical edge, it can be treated differently. In this case, the beak is quite contrasted in some areas, but then it's not like this is the most contrasty area of the whole bird. Actually, that little highlight accidentally on the feathers is maybe one of the most clear and sharp bits. Are you hearing the noises outside? Should I shut my window, or is it okay?
No, I think he does a good job of filtering them out.
Okay.
No, I should mention that I noticed, I learned that Zoom has this new feature out that if there's a low level sound occurring in the background, Zoom knows after a while to just cancel it out. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. Just let me know if you can't hear or anything. Yeah, I mean, these are all pretty similar. I just grabbed everything that was bird. This one was a bit older. I made prints of this as a fundraiser, actually, to go to that Jeremy Mann workshop. So I must have painted this in 2017, 2018. Yeah, same as the others, really just quite muted. Like the chest here actually really disappears.
Yeah.
Whereas the beak has one single really hard edge, especially compared to even the front of his chin there, her chin there. Oh yeah, chicken for fun. Chickens are birds too. Chickens are pretty fun. If you know anyone with chickens, they're just kind of so dorky, like in their walk and stuff, and they're a little more heavy, and they move in a lumbering way that I think allows for some great reference images and video. I like the peachy tones versus greenish tones. Again, like there's a little bit of a subtle complementary thing going on. This one's a bit bigger. I think it's kind of 8x10-ish, or maybe it was 9x12. Not huge, but quite big, and had to scale my brush up for that reason. Yeah, let's see what else. I think we've did them all. I like this as a different kind of pose with the tail up.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, background left loose. Same. Oh, more chickens. That's what I want to see. I really liked this chicken one. It ended up, I quite like painting on a smooth board, and that will give a ton of action. So there's a lot going on. It can be a bit chaotic, but I think I realized at some point that I enjoy my messy brush strokes, and I think other people do too. So when I'm using a big brush, oily paint, and a smooth-ish surface, it kind of really pushes that even more. So I think it's something to think about in your own work. Maybe it's not that thing, but what is the thing you like best about your work? What gives it, what mood do you like, and what process gives that mood? Like sometimes you can push it a step farther. I mean, I go back and forth and try different things or different tools, but it was helpful to me to kind of realize that is what I enjoy, and what ways can I make it more so. In the opposite way, if you really like very controlled edges and everything being precise, obviously a smooth board would work for that too, but you'd likely want to use a smaller brush and consistent, maybe thinner paint, or like controlled paint versus kind of this craziness. Yeah. Another pigeon. I did a series of pigeons. Oh yeah, and more chickens. This is a horrible picture, but they were sort of backlit, and I just like that. I think I don't know what happened to those ones. I don't even know if those were sold, but they were painted together. And I like the chickens from the back are hilarious. They have an interesting shape. Yeah, they're pretty sweet. I know I did a newer one. Oh, this is these are some of the first paintings I was really making and selling. I think this was probably like, I don't know, 2013 or something. Yeah, 2012, when my daughter was really small. I found it and thought, oh my gosh, that's one of my earlier birds. Just interesting for me to think about the difference. I feel like, I don't know, I like it. It's quite similar. You can see some of the same. I was scratching, I guess, some lines sometimes even then, and similar way. I like the idea. It made me remember that I'd like to paint some pairs of birds. I think the interaction between them is fun. Or a group of birds. I guess there was with the chickens too. But that's something to think about. And a swan. I kind of found it a personal challenge to attempt anyways to paint a swan that isn't cheesy, because swans have such a Hallmark vibe or something, like the imagery, but I actually find them quite fascinating and powerful. There's a famous Dutch painting. Actually, it's on my wall. I'll show you guys later. I remember seeing it as a teenager in London. I think it was a traveling exhibit in London, and it's this massive swan. And it's just so powerful. So there's all different moods of birds themselves as well. But my idea was to try to make it not be cheesy. Not too cheesy anyway.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, this one's the background was so wild that I stopped quite early on this one and left it. It's a little confusing and crazy, but I kind of dig it. And by adding another way to add an edge, like I just put in a tiny bit of black there to pop the top of his head versus the other way around. And I guess I felt I needed an edge here. You can almost see the way I worked because this one was so fast and furious that I think without that light here, it would probably disappear too much. I obviously put that in as a second choice to kind of boost it up, which I think is clear to see. Oh, it's a blurry photograph. This was just such a little baby bird. This bird actually landed on my table at the restaurant I love to go to. And so it was really quite close quarters, a little baby sparrow, I guess. I thought I had 2 of him. And just for crazy, these ones were a bit of an experiment in trying to paint like a flying bird from the video clip. And I think a lot of people, when they see them, it's much harder to have that immediate recognition of what it is. So I don't know if they were super successful, but I found them really fun to do. And yeah, we're going to look at some video clips too of birds moving, and it is weird to consider with the bad resolution of my phone and with the bird moving quickly, you'll sometimes get these images that are quite abstract and interesting, but it's just that question of whether it's recognizable and interesting or fun. I don't know. I kind of dig it. I think it's something to think about in any case.
The backgrounds are great. I love them.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess they just sort of, they come out of the process. Like it's the kind of thing that you can't do too much on purpose. Like just gradually got lighter, and a lot of them are just left in the way that we started yesterday is the way I will start in color. And so some of that initial crazy, very vague block in just gets left as it was. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of all about the paint. I'm not sure if those ones are really even successful, but I wanted to show you out of interest. I think they're neat to think about. Okay, that's almost all of the birds. Why don't I just go to this view for a sec? If there was anything you want to say or ask about, feel free.
When you start, I mean, when you look at a photograph of a bird, do you, because I mean, a lot of your backgrounds are they're very varied and all that. I mean, do you choose, you know, because a lot of times you put in your background first, or do you choose that before, or do you go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do this in the background now while you're painting the bird?
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably a bit of both. I'll often like with the Little Bird series where I did some blue backgrounds or other backgrounds, I just had primed a few boards ahead of time. I think I even did a pink, blue, and yellow just to push it a little on purpose. And then the day up, like basically in the moment, I chose what board I wanted to start from. It'll usually be a more neutral background. And then as I go, in the same way that we chose hard edges, it's often the sort of same ratio in choosing a few brighter color areas as well. So I'll sometimes add color at the end too, or even fake in like a background peeking through like I showed you. So I think it's a kind of as I go thing, but I do in the beginning, I think I almost have a general color vision that's cohesive. And then it starts with quite muted and cohesive and gradually might emerge with some more contrasting color as it goes along. as well. So I don't know if that answers your question, but a bit of both. I think I start with an initial plan, but then it also shifts along the way, and it definitely gets more extreme in quotes as it goes. Will definitely start with very minimal amounts of different colors anyhow. Yeah. Hope that makes sense.
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to watch the first hour that I missed last week, and I don't know if you brought it up or not in context of talking about using videos for your references, but I think something that really stands out, like in addition to obviously they're all painted in your style, but something that stands out about your bird images or art is that they're not the perfect pose. Yes, as for the swan, I can see what you're saying, but like, you know, so much art that is either bird art by itself or has birds in it always has, like, you know, like that perfect, like a photographer went out and shot this perfect image, and you know, they probably would have discarded all the ones that are, you know, the ones that you would have chosen to paint, even if it was in perfect focus, like the poses and everything. And I think it makes your art really unique. But also it captures the behavior more, right? To see, even if you're looking at a field guide or something, they all have to be perfectly posed from the side so that you can compare all the different species. But, you know, as someone who studies their behavior, I feel like you see so much more of that in your paintings, the gesture, their poses, the way they move, the way they fly, the way they walk around. I think it's great.
Oh, thanks. I love hearing that. I always think it's a big compliment for me. Like if I paint, I don't know, like if I paint a waitress and it feels like a waitress, or if I paint a bird and it feels like a bird, like I like it when the people that like the subject matter, like the painting, I feel kind of honored because like you said, like, I love that you feel like it feels like the birds. And yeah, I think same as people, like quite often portraits, same as the bird perched on the limb, like a portrait of a person will often be sitting in the chair at the 3/4 angle with the chin up and, you know, like very stiff, right? And kind of, and it makes sense. Like I see why, same as the birds, like that's necessary sometimes, but I like painting people when they're kind of awkwardly pouring a drink or leaning over to pick up their kid or some sort of in the same way. Like I like that natural gesture, and video definitely gets that, because as soon as I ask someone to take their picture, they'll stiffen up, and the birds don't really, but I guess you're right. It's the photographers that are editing it as such, and painters. And yeah, there's reasons for that at times, but thank you. I really appreciate that comment. And I'm happy about that. I just found the other baby bird one I was going to show you guys that, I just think it's so like you kind of knock-kneed look. I think it's a baby. I don't know. Stephanie might know, but,
It's hard to tell.
Pardon?
It's hard to tell, but it could be, like a young fledgling,
Yeah, maybe that's why he was brave enough to come to the coffee shop. But yeah, and the knee disappears completely right here, and that's okay, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's probably enough of my birds for now. Well, if there's anything else, feel free, or I'm gonna load up and let's have a look at your homework that you guys did. Where are we? Were you able to fix that one, Joe?
I did, yes.
Thank you. Okay.
And I think the birds outside are active. I think because they know you're showing birds on the screen. Yeah, that's it probably.
Yeah, probably.
We're all giving the birds love.
Yeah. I wanted to show you guys what I saw this morning. 1 second. Let's do that. Where is it? You're not even going to believe this. Just outside my window. Hey, here we go. There was I think the shoemaker had put up these bird houses, and there was a mama bird, I think, feeding its baby. Like, can you see that? Like right here. It's like its mouth is wide open. That just happened like 10 minutes. I'm like, I have to take a picture for you guys. So
Wow.
pretty cute, hey? Okay, homework. time. Thanks for doing it and looking it over. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. Yeah, so we did, just to recap in case people are watching this back, the homework was to start painting from an upside down blurry reference like this. And then next step, the reference is flipped around. Oops, that's my version, but yeah, next step, the reference was, where is it? Below, was flipped right way up and clear. I was asking you to take a picture of the first step before going further using this second clear image, if possible. It's nice to see both steps. And then the other homework was to look through these images by artists that I love and just consider and mark which edges are hardest and which areas are softest or lost, like for instance, her face. So these were the 3 images we were looking at for that, just in terms of looking at other art. Okay. And there was a question about how far to go from Regina, I think.
Yes.
And yeah, great question. That's really the question of my life. Like how, when do you stop? And I had said in my answer that it's great to take pictures along the way and sort of look back for yourself and for me, like to see where you came from is fun. It's one reason I started taking time-lapse videos of my work was because I kept finding that I wish I'd stopped a little sooner. I don't know if I told you guys that, but there's an app I use called Lapsit on my phone, and that's a handy one. I think it does eat up quite a bit of phone space, just FYI. But that I've found that to be useful for me, and it's also great for promo. Sometimes I'll put that on Instagram or whatever, like a time-lapse video is kind of neat to see. I think because my approach is quite different, it's kind of a catchy thing for me to show people, so I do. Okay, first, Joanne, I don't know if Joanne's here. I think was Joanne the one that said she couldn't be here today? Yes, she won't be here, but we will start with her because she's first in the thing. First of all, thanks, Joanne, for including. Joanne included a link here. Oh no, wasn't she the one that included the link for the rosemary brushes?
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Those are great brushes. Let's see. She had, I guess this is a portrait, a different bird painting she had done before, and she's saying she wishes it had more lively brushwork. So yeah, it's a cute painting, but it's quite cohesive in its simple, hard edges everywhere. But yeah, neat to look back at your other work and consider how it could be done differently if you want. I quite love this start, Joanne. I know there isn't detail, but I feel like it has a great glow and form. I think it's because of this dark foreground, and then it feels like reflected light under here because it just, that's probably the color that color that you saw, or value rather. It's a bit like those academic studies you'll see of a ball. Like I can feel that happening in the form. And I think I hope that, at least for me, I find that by not thinking and just really quickly getting it down, I'll sometimes get the right balance and form. And I feel like that's a nice, super nice feeling of 3-dimensional space. And I also feel like it feels connected to the shadow and the background. Like it just has a nice overall vibe. I really like that. And then, yeah, I feel like you did a good job too of adding in these few places, not doing it too much here. Like it's clear choice to just put stronger edges in a few spots. I like how there's quite a strong one here actually in terms of the contrast. That's kind of nice. I think it's really cute. And I think it's a great study, great example of how to approach it actually. It's really nice. I think I don't know the scale, but it looks like the scale of the brush to the bird is quite big. So for the kind of style I like, I think that's really well done. Thank you. And thank you for doing, oh wait, there's one more step. Second attempt. Let's see, what does this, I should have read this a little better. I just got lost in Oh, this may have been during and then second attempt. I don't know if that means Joanne did a whole other one, but let's look at that. Yeah, this one's more clear. I think it holds together here. I almost wish there was a bit less detail, but that's sort of a personal choice thing. I think the ones you put in are well chosen. This is fun. Like it almost makes me think of a palette knife. I'm not sure if that was used, but yeah, I do think the form still holds together well, like even though there's more detail added, and yeah, he's sweet. I think it's well done. I like the difference in marks too. Like the background is more smushy and then these are more sharp. So you're your eye is focusing on the bird because of that. I think that it's a good job. Well done. And yeah, thank you, Joanne. And we'll just quickly look at Joanne's homework. Whoops, I guess, is that loading? Or is it blue? Is it blue for you guys?
Yeah.
Weird. Okay. Oh, there we go. I don't know why is that. It's all faded and weird. Try one more time. Oh, maybe it's trying to load it's loading a whole doc. There, is that better?
Yeah.
Can you see the whole thing even? Okay. Yeah, it's interesting that Joanne saw this background corner. Like I wouldn't have picked that as one of the first hard marks. Like I feel like this is more contrast, but actually it's a really interesting point that all of these rectangle lines and for the composition really set it up to be, it really sets your eye up to hold the center, which is a bit of a mess, but there are a lot of diagonals going on in a cool way. So I'm interested that she saw that. And I actually think that's the only one that's showing up from Joanne's. I think because it was a docx, maybe something funny's going on. Okay, thank you, Joanne. Let's move on to, is Kathy here today? Maybe no.
Nope.
No? Okay. There's Kathy's start. I feel like this upside down guy is cute. Even upside down, I feel like the brush there's a lot of action going on, which I love, but maybe the brushwork or detail is a little bit small or quite a bit of tiny marks, versus like a big mark, especially for the start, but it's definitely done accurately and it has a great energy. So that is cool. And I can't seem to get out of that. 1 second. Uh-oh. Sorry, 1 sec. Joe did it. I don't know why I'm. There we go. Okay. Whoops. Here is right side up complete. And Kathy's saying her paper quality was poor, so she was struggling with that. But I think that this did come together for sure with good value choices everywhere. I'm wondering if some of these lights got a bit light in that they are breaking it up a bit. But yeah, it's definitely cute and good job. It was, oh, that's another person. Yeah. I think I appreciate the difference between the outer edges and the inside, and just would have maybe simplify a little more and be cautious of getting too many lights into the shadow side would be my only other comment for Kathy. Okay, Regina, you're here.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Whoa, did you do, oh, yes, you uploaded the rosemary brushes. Thank you. They're beautiful. Yeah. And that's right. So did you do an in-class one and then another one, Regina?
Yes.
Awesome. How did you feel about that? Like, was it good to do a second one?
It was good to do a second one. And I wish that I had had more time in my week to do like a third one. And I didn't get a chance to do that, but it was really fun. And like the second one, I used a big derpy brush, this big goofy brush, and did it fast. And cool. So that was fun too. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's look through the, this is your first one, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And this, you flipped it around, but this was how it looked when you started it.
Yeah, that was the upside down one.
Yeah. Cool. Nice and basic. Big shapes are a really good way to start. I like it. Is the whole thing quite tiny? Like kind of,
Yeah, it was like 5 by 5.
yeah, awesome. Oops. Now this is yours as well during
That
class?
was that was during the class one.
Okay, nice. Yep, I feel like you got some more in and you kept it. I like how the background's really, really soft and then you're finding some places to make it harder. And then from there, did you do, oh, you're showing us your brush?
Yeah, I just wanted to, like, I thought I'm going to make a record of what brush I used.
And this was the in-class,
Yeah.
yeah. How come it's so clean? That's crazy. But this was
after I cleaned. It was after. I
okay.
cleaned.
Wow. I have never had such a clean brush. Okay, nice.
It's relatively
You
new.
can buy, this is why you can buy rosemary brushes, because you take care of them. Good job. Okay. Oh, fun. Okay, this was when you used like a bigger
Yeah.
brush. I love that energy. That's great. It's so simplified. That's really neat, Regina. Like just, I mean, I know that in these phases, people feel like, oh, it looks ugly, but this is what I find super exciting because it's like the tiniest poem about a bird. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that I know it has to go farther,
Yeah.
but it's kind of the basics that are super exciting to me. Like, this is so cute. Like just this dark here, like that's kind of the two, like if you really boil it down, I think, yeah, really fun way to start. And maybe that's because you were doing it so quickly. I find that really exciting. Yeah, and then here you've added more dark in the head, I can see, and around, which I do like, but it's getting a bit more
Muddy.
yeah, it's so hard to choose where to put it, but I think you did keep this simplified and cool. I'm glad you didn't go in with too much detail yet. Oh, is that the one you used?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's weird. I don't usually use real bristle. But this is an Escoda brush that I had seen somebody using, and I was like, and it's one of the it's like one of the smallest of the line, but they have these, they're all round, but they have like round squares, and I forget what the other one was. So this is a round square.
Is it called a sash brush, maybe?
I went back and looked, and it didn't have a particular name. It was just an Escoda.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Great to like just try something you're not used to. That is so cool, because you never know what you'll like. I mean, that's how I ended up using those long ones, is I just tried them one day and love them. Or maybe you'd like a really short or wide, or like whatever. It's fun to try things. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing those. Those are cool. And I'm especially excited about your start there. Like, I feel like that's super fun.
Thank you.
It's almost like a little, like a haiku about a bird or something, you know?
I like that idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just managing what to go from there, but I think you're on the right track. That's super fun. Cool. Okay. Ooh, did you print them out physically?
I did.
Nice. Thanks. That's fun. Was that fun to do?
It ate up all the black toner
Oh, no.
printer.
Oh,
but it was worth it. It was worth it to just like have them to look at, like while I was looking at this, I'm looking at this, and you know, it was fun to just kind of live with them.
Yeah, that's funny. I ran out of toner last night. I was trying to print raffle tickets for my son's thing, and we ran out of toner too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like you've seen some hard edges. I do think this one on her hip is super important because it like sets up that viewing line of how you like look across and down her legs. And yeah, you've really found the edges where it's so obvious in this picture, probably because it's a photograph of a print. It's so obvious how that forearm is like gone, like when you circle it, and her face and her side. Yeah, that's cool. I just really love that painting so much. It's great to see.
This is such a great exercise. I really appreciated this a lot.
Yay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And I hope I think you when you look at any painting or reference image too, you'll start to see it. It's try to look for like, what's the 3 hard ones. Yeah. And this top, that's important, how this edge brings you down and in, and it's a bit of a composition thing too.
Yeah.
It happens kind of naturally. I mean, that's again about choosing the reference, like by his choice of image and composition already does that. And then he's using the hard edges in a way too, to pull you into this middle. And yeah, it's hard to see your dark. Pardon?
I said this one was a hard one because there were so many of those, like he did these hard edges with those things on the left. And I
Uh-huh.
wanted to pick them all, but it was an interesting exercise to try to just pick like the three that, or 3 or 4. And I'm sure somebody else will have like different 3 or
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, I think what I'm noticing is these, like you said, these swipes of the like sort of
Yeah.
like apartment building railings or something. But I think maybe the contrast in white, like these are maybe the whiter whites, it seems, in your print anyhow.
Yeah.
But they're all important and they're all hard. It's just to what degree. But yeah, good job seeing those. And yeah, it's interesting to see there's a lot that disappears in his work,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Especially towards the outside and within the middle. And even that's interesting, like even right in the middle, it's almost the way the focal point comes, but this is all there's nothing there to really get hinged on for too long because you get bounced back around. There's just a lot of nice action, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, this one came out sideways. I don't know why.
Oh, it doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah, it's actually kind of cool this way, although I guess it feels like it's falling. Yeah, what I love in this painting is this little jog here on the fork end. And I think that's so important because it pops the fork above the napkin.
Yes.
And it's just such a geometric, awesome shape. And that's really cool. Yep. And obviously the spoon edge is so beautiful and carvy. I just love this painting so much.
Yes.
It's such a fun subject idea to do. Yeah, birds are hard to do from real life, but cutlery or apples are things that are fun to practice from life. Yeah, cool. And yeah, total disappearing spoon here at the end. And yeah, some of these shadow areas. You can almost imagine if you were looking at this pile of forks in real life, you'd be trying to paint it, you'd be trying to say, where's that edge? But when you catch yourself doing that, maybe consider don't. Like if you're searching for it, do you need it? Like just consider that. And I think he obviously does an amazing job of that. Okay, thanks, Regina, for doing all your homework. Yeah, cool. Okay, and then we've got next Patty. Is Patty here? Maybe no. And just
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Yay! Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Patty King. Yes, I saw you join in. Okay, so is this your finished one from after class, or did you do a second one?
Oh, I didn't have my painting supplies during class, and then I had that wedding this weekend, so I did that. I did this really quick this morning.
Cool. Thanks for getting it done last minute. I like it. It has a like a pointillism effect because the marks are all quite similar. I actually really dig how you've managed to, because the marks are similar and yet the contrast varies. So you're getting the form. I think it's really fun. It's almost like that. I feel like if the background had the very same ones going on, it would almost be like a bit of a Van Gogh effect where the like everywhere is busy. So then the change in edges comes through your choice of contrast, I suppose, most of all. And I like the fact that this tail has the brightest whites compared to the beak. It doesn't have to be around the beak. So just the way it worked out, it has a cute energy. And I think that I feel like maybe you did it quite speedy. And I
did.
Yeah, I like that energy. I think he's sweet.
Okay. Thank you. It was even painting the bird, upside down. I mean, my first instinct was to go to that beak.
Right.
And I had to force myself to just paint the whole, the shape of the bird first, before. But that it's a great exercise, painting upside down.
Yeah, even upside down, even if it isn't blurry, being upside down will help you quit analyzing it almost and just look at it for shapes. Yeah, I'm glad you liked that. Inga is not here today and didn't do homework. Okay. Roberta, now I know you did color, Roberta.
Yeah.
Couldn't help yourself. Do you love color?
I had paint on the palette. I had to just use what was.
Okay. Yeah. So because you had the color and it's you've still kept things quite muted, but this is beautiful colors actually. Let's just look at that for color first of all. yeah, it's really pretty. I think it's so interesting, and how this line intentionally breaks the hard line. I love that. And that's something I've done. If I notice that something is too sharp or bugging me, I'll just, swipe the brush across. I love that.
Mm.
He's very sweet. He feels very solid, and you've let the feet disappear. You've got quite a, like, it's interesting how like a lot of the edges are firm all the way around, but I like the broken bits here and here and here to sort of like let that back of the bird go away. And then this cute little pop of color, brightness there really does make him feel, you can feel the light sliding under him, or you understand her. I mean, you understand there's a shadow, which is nice and soft. So yeah, that's really cute little guy. Good job. And when you started it, this was all the same one, Roberta?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, it's nice to see your other versions. Yeah, so in your start, I feel like you got quite a lot of detail and contrast. Like, it would have been fun to see. I don't know if you had a phase before this where it was even softer and blurrier. Like within this right now, there's already like the whites and the blacks.
Mhm.
It would be cool to see a start where it hasn't gone as far, both in hardness and in contrast. But you're obviously able to work it as you do to get to a nice finish and still keep making choices along the way. Oh, so this is sort of before the color?
Yep.
Oh, I like that guy too. Interesting. What do you guys think? I like him both. I think it's really neat to see how you basically had to reestablish everything again, right? With adding the color.
Mhm.
Yeah, you kept it. It's fun to see where you went with it.
Pretty glow to it.
Uh-huh.
This one, it's got that pretty glow. Were you working on a toned surface?
Yeah, it is a toned.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's cool. I think, yeah, because this whole side, I like how similar it is, that it lets this be in the front and really glow, like you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. Nice work. I think I'm curious. It's so interesting to flip back and forth and see what changed. Like, you chose to take, I see this mark here and a couple, like, just looking at the feathers to see what you chose to leave out. And I think was probably a good and interesting choice, to let these ones be gone and just leave the front ones a little bit more. Like, you can see how those were here, and Roberta did have some marks. Yeah, and you could go either way, or you could have had them there but not as contrasty.
Mhm.
I'm really interested in seeing those choices. It's cool to see the steps, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and I think I did quite a bit of back and forth of, oh, that's too much detail, not enough detail.
Cool. Yeah, and isn't oil amazing for that?
Mhm.
How can people do this in watercolor? I guess you just live with it. But
Yeah.
I love knowing I can change things in oil lets me be more free, because then I think, I'm constantly tricking myself or convincing myself that, oh, this is just a start. This is just nothing. It's totally changeable, just to be relaxed, right? Like, cause you gotta have fun, or I want to have fun.
Yeah.
And I did the other exercises. I just didn't upload them.
Sure.
others.
Yeah. And how did you find those?
Good. I found the Jeremy Mann one really hard though to pick out, because there's so many sharp edges and there's so many lost edges in it.
Yeah.
So that one really challenged me.
Yeah, there are a lot of sharp edges. I guess they're just almost like so many millions of them. It's a matter of which ones are the strongest contrast, I think, really is how he differentiates.
Mhm.
I was hoping Elizabeth doesn't have Jeremy's, but it looks like Elizabeth, are you here?
I do. And it's Liz, and I have all three should be there. I don't know why that's at the top. Is that at the top?
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I had those, I think, underneath my birds, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe yeah. You should have everything.
I'm having, oops, I'm troubling on my window because I have the Zoom window open too.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, there they are. There
Yeah,
they
okay,
are. Yay.
good.
Okay. Okay.
So, okay.
Well, since we were talking about Jeremy Man, let's just
Yeah.
look at these ones first.
So I
Yeah.
took a macro, I would say I took a macro approach to the whole
I
thing.
like that.
Because
Yeah.
I just see that big column that branches out almost like a tree, and then he just
Right.
uses little like staccato lines, and I mean the rest of it is a bit of a, up for interpretation. So that's
Totally.
it sort of looks like a lazy approach. It could also be
No,
a lazy approach.
I think that's really interesting and accurate observation that, yeah, in terms of there is like this column coming down,
That's
and
just
then
what
it's
I
true.
think.
Although there's these little white bits everywhere, they're kind of like almost like
Right.
sparkles on the water or something. And that
Right.
this is one big dark, this is one big dark. I love how you simplified that. That's really a cool way to look at it too, and definitely true. And these strong ones coming down are so important.
Right.
Yeah, awesome. Like which way are we going here? Kwang Ho.
Okay, kind of did the same thing where I just that what immediately hit me with the sharp contrasts and lines, and then the hazy areas. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. That is such a beautiful painting. I love
Yeah.
that.
Isn't it nice? I weirdly, I should mention on Instagram yesterday, I noticed this painting, a portion of it was on Scott Connery he teaches with Penn Studio actually as well, and he's doing an interview with Kwang Ho, and this picture came up and I thought, oh, that's the one I was just showing. So anyways, if you're interested in those guys, you could check out Scott is got a thing, it looks like, coming up. And yeah, cutlery. Yeah, same. You noticed this back rectangle too.
Yeah, I did. I noted. Yeah, I did. I did the hard of that, I think. And then you could get in and be more, but again, I didn't do that. But with, bits and pieces of those, with all the cutlery, actually, there are sharper lines.
Yeah.
But I like the jump style of it. My eye reads it, just, little things pop out, but.
They do, but yeah, I like how you're seeing that big picture thinking too, of like, this is just one big pile, whereas it's really held by this outer thing. And that's kind of composition as well as edges. Like, everything is true. Like I do like noticing this little V right here, or like I said, that geometric edge of the fork as just like the like detail ones. But yes, the big point is that this is a jumble held within a rectangle. So that's all. Yeah, it's just really good. It's nice. It's interesting to talk about and look at, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Good homework.
Cool. Is this your bird? I just want to make sure I'm on the right. Let's go back.
Is that mine? No, I don't know.
No, I think it was getting lost. Okay, we looked at your edge finding. Okay, that's your bird.
So I just took, so I did 3 versions after class. Wow. I did more, but I wasn't good about photographing stages. So, lesson learned there. So I have my very first one that I was doing, I think, during class. So you can tell if you go down one, I think Mel is that was my first go. And then the career.
I love that. I love these starts, you guys. Like, I just think it's awesome. Yeah. It's got like a form and I don't know, so much. It's so painty. I don't know. I got super excited about these when I'm teaching in person as well. Like when people first start, I feel like also in this phase, especially if you work quite quickly and abstractly, it's kind of your own hand is coming through. It's like a signature or handwriting. And so I love that. I think that kind of thing is more possible when you work quickly and small and abstractly. I just like feeling your personality in that start. I think it's cool.
Well, and I think for all of us, I can see why you get all excited about that, because they are freer and there's more possibility and more, and again, it's always, how far to go and when to stop. But yeah, I'm not surprised that it's fun hearing you get excited about our first phase.
Yeah, I do, because I do think, I think there's a balance, and I think it's a personal choice, but everyone can, trace a bird and very meticulously kind of color by number, fill it in and make it accurate like that. That's lovely. And there would still be personality and choices in everything, but this is so unique. kind of like we can't possibly all do it exactly the same way. I know we're doing the same bird, but
It's our fingerprint, right? Our little
yeah.
fingerprint.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So yeah, I love seeing that. And was that just after you turned it around?
That was, I believe, I don't remember for sure, but I think
Okay.
so, because I think that's what you told us to do. So I think, and I think as I'm going more, I think the longer I wait to flip it over, the better.
Yeah,
So,
I'll sometimes
but
even do it
Yeah.
again partway through. Like I feel like I'm getting fussy, I'll flip it back around
Yeah.
or
Yep.
step away, or any of these tricks to kind of get back to like, where are those couple darks I really need, and just
Right.
do a couple big, huge marks, even if I'm feeling fussy and frustrated. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's, now, which direction do I go with
Oh,
this
I
guy?
think if you go down too, I tried to do that. They didn't come up, I don't think, in the order that I think
Yeah.
I think it's that one. And then the other two, like I said, I didn't do the other. That might have been my first attempt. Yeah.
Ooh,
So
cute.
hard, but hard edges. I mean, I see it all. I have to say, I love carving out those edges. I sculpt,
Nice.
and there's
Yes.
something very sculptural about that. So again, I see all, like, I should flip it over and loosen it all up. But it's so much, I'm like, I just have such, it's so fun to carve out those edges. So I think it's overly carved, but that's what I ended up with.
I think it's great. I think it looks great. I'm curious if you're using acrylic or oil.
Acrylic, which is very,
Okay.
I'm using a retarder, which I've never
Yeah.
used before. Had it on my shelf. So, but it is acrylic. And I think you just said, you were talking about oils. I think that would be a bit freeing, knowing I have a lot more leeway going back. So
Maybe, but I think you did an excellent job on this, and I think it feels, it has a sense of your signature in it, hand, like, because it's everywhere, and I really like the marks that you've made. And although there's kind of hard edges in the way, like Jeremy Mann has hard edges everywhere as well, but they're managed. I think they're managed through the accurate choices in contrast, right? Because it's clear to me that there's only a few that are like, here it's same, which is great.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Right.
so I feel like it's working really well, and that yeah, it has a lovely sense of, a bit of a sense of your voice in that. And it's so cool to hear that you're a sculptor, an artist, an art critic friend of mine described my work as, like, because she watched me paint live, and she said, oh, it's like emerging like a sculpture, and I loved that.
Yeah, it is really fun to see when you, right. I love it when you demo, when, I'm hoping we get that today, because there is a lot of that. It's fun to see.
Yeah, and I have that sense. That's so, it must be so neat to think that way as a sculptor too. So that's cool. Was this guy before?
No, that's the third
Different.
one, or that's the second. I think that was my second one. And I was still
Okay.
working with a smaller, I don't know my brush sizes. It's probably maybe an 8 round. I don't know if that's a filbert or whatever. It's an old brush. So I did that one, and then I pulled out a 1/2 inch flat for my last one. So
I think this brush is worked really well for you. Like, I feel like I just feel a sense of comfort and speed or strength or something, confidence in this one. That's really nice.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Yeah, good job. Oh, and another guy.
And that's the one I did it with a flat brush, not like a 1/2 inch flat. I just thought, again, trying to do
Yeah.
a block in, so a little different brushwork, but still got my mostly sharp edges. There's a couple of blurry ones, but I still have I'm still kind of carved out there, but I don't mind that actually in this one. So
yeah, totally. Well, carving and sculpting are good words for you to be thinking of when you're painting, because yeah, you understand that it can start from a blob and become
right.
Yeah, in the way that a 3-dimensional thing can too. So yeah, cool. Yeah, I feel like maybe this one, like the strong contrast in here it's just very strong. So as compared to
maybe.
Sorry, pardon?
Do you think a little too strong? Is that a little too?
Maybe. I guess what I just know that my eye goes to this one dark line and these couple bright bits. So that's where it goes, which is okay. But then I guess I'm just wondering if that's where we want it as compared to the edges.
Right.
In a way it's cool, but they're really contrasty right here, right? So what about the other one? The one I really love, this one. Yeah, I guess it's so different, isn't it? Like, I guess the strongest contrasts are here. Yeah. They're all cool. I love the variety of all of these guys. Good job doing so many of them, and yet having
I could do more. I think we probably all feel that. I want to do more. And just since I have you, I'm actually heading on a road trip in a little while. So I will leave about an hour early quietly. I don't mean to be rude. So, and I'll do that. I'll follow up when I get home on Sunday. So,
Okay, well, great work. And thank you for all of that, and have a safe road trip.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay. And Stephanie, is that our last one over here? And I know Stephanie's here. Okay, wait, I just got to move it's hard having like Zoom windows and other windows. Okay, got it. So where should we start? Maybe let's look at your homework first. Hey, Stephanie?
Sure.
Like the looking at other art.
I couldn't do just 3 because like when I was looking at it, I was like, I know these people and their work, and I always think, oh yeah, they're messing with edges, but like until you have to really pay attention to do this exercise, it was really quite interesting to see how they're manipulating where they want your eye to go. Like there's like that manipulation, and also like that they want loose edges, like Kwang Ho, how he kind of went across the thigh, because that would have been too hard of an edge, even though that's probably exactly what it looked like. But then he still wanted you to see like the top of the thigh where it went before you got into the shadow of the stomach area.
Nice. You're talking about this area here.
Yeah, like just
wow, that's a great observation.
Also, the little nipple. I just like went from staring at the picture really closely. I was like, oh yeah, you really quite emphasized that part.
You really wanted that. Well, it says a lot. It's like a beak in a way, right? Like, that that's a breast if there's a nipple, right? That's hilarious. But that's a great observation, Stephanie, how you're so right. I like thinking about imagining him working on it, and he definitely chose to break this up right here. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, like, because otherwise that's all you would see, right? Because it is the lightest part against one of the darker parts. And
and so fun how it kind of makes it look shiny too. Like you feel the light reflecting on her skin by that breaking off. It's sort of like Roberta did that on the edge of the bird, like after the fact. It's sort of that thinking of like, no, I want he probably just felt he wanted that broken like that. And as you're saying, it's so, I love the word manipulative. Like it is kind of like being a magician or a manipulator when you do have a lot of control over where people's eye go. And these guys are definitely doing that, aren't they?
I think like I paint more realistically than that. And so, and I try to be, I'm going to try and loosen up and this and that. But like in these 3 that you chose in particular, I could really feel my eye like being moved around the canvas in a certain way, like, because I think I don't aspire to paint like this. Not that I don't think it's amazing, but it was really interesting exercise to see, how much control they really have, especially I guess when you're thinking about in black and white and all you can see is the contrast and the edges. But
right. Yeah. And even, I don't know if you remember, maybe you didn't see this. Go back and see if you have time. The slideshow from the first day.
Yes,
I was looking at different artists. And so I don't know if you know, Robert Bateman is a Canadian.
Yeah.
Well, you must know. So we were looking at one of his, and although it's very tight everywhere and very accurate and beautiful and painstaking, there are choices. If you zoom in, there are definitely choices made in this manner, but on a much sort of smaller scale, or in just a smaller way in areas where the same thing is happening. And he's a real master of composition too, for moving your eye around. Just because it's all tight doesn't mean that edges aren't considered.
Yeah, no, and like I guess I'm thinking, like my preference would be more like Soroya or something like that. It's like obviously very loose, but and after actually starting to take your class, I'm re-looking at all of his books of his that I have, and like thinking about it more, how to do it in the way that I would like, because this feels almost, that drag paint across the canvas. I think it looks nice. It's just not my personal preference, but I can definitely see how he loosens and where he loosens. Obviously the same reasons to manipulate where your eye goes, but when you have a squeegee or whatever and you go like that, you have even more control over where your eye goes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's a pretty like loud and extreme. These guys are very bold and messy. And yeah, I love that you're thinking about what works for you. That's exactly what I hope for everyone. When I'm teaching anything is just like, think about it for you. That's awesome. And finding connections and other artists that you want to check out. That's good. So cool. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, lots of lost areas in the Jeremy Mann thing. Yeah. I like how you noticed here, like this one balcony, these kind of, I call them the balconies, whatever, these railings, as compared to, there's the same line shape here, but it's lower contrast, right? And that's so hard versus soft, even just right there. So many little manipulative choices that are
Yeah,
good.
I found, like the other people, I found this one tricky too because of all the highlights, because obviously they catch your eye a lot, but I don't know if you consider those an edge or not really. So I didn't really focus on those. Yeah.
No, whatever you see. Oops, there we go. Yeah, and it's interesting that this whole, like, this is kind of within the focal area, but yeah, I like how you're recognizing that that's just, it would be easy to get caught up. I'm sure there's details on this church or building or whatever it is, but he's not doing it, right? He's just having none of it as compared to some of these spots down here.
I couldn't even tell what that was until you said it was a church just now. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I had no idea what that building, like I didn't identify that as a building in the background. Like I could see that looked kind of like a doorway, but I don't know. I guess I missed the steepley part.
Well, and maybe I could be wrong. I should look at it.
Like as soon as you said that, it's like something clicked in my head, and now I can see what I'm looking at more easily.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe it's not, and it doesn't matter, right? But it just has such a nice sense of atmosphere, I think, because of that being so distant and vague.
Yeah,
and kind of like this car zooming in the front. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did this, and thanks for sharing it too. It is great. Like, although it's the same exercise we all did, I love seeing you guys have different takes on which parts you notice, because it's all true. Yeah, this napkin, I love that. I just love that little fork line. And yeah, this is just makes the napkin feel so drapey, having that. He just nails, if you're gonna have a hard edge, he gets it right.
Yeah,
so right, makes everything else believable. So when this is sharp and bang on, then you can do this. And I guess I trust him. It's so manipulative. It's like he makes us trust him, and then he can get away with all this mess. I think it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know how he did that, but I really like that one. It's very interesting.
And a lot of blurriness going on. Yeah, like you're seeing this, I guess this is a knife. It's completely joining to the fork. And psychologically, if you're painting this, I know how you want to, you think, I gotta show them that that's the edge of but do you? Right? Yeah. Okay, awesome. And let's just look at your birds, and then maybe we'll take a little break after this. Okay, so this was is this the first thing, Stephanie, just after flipping over?
Yeah.
Cute. I always love these ones so much. This has a nice rhythm in the bloop bloop on the feet. I don't know. It's just, it feels, spontaneous and sweet. Love it. And I like it has that sense of form, like an apple or a thing. Like, I just think when you guys are doing these quick ones, it's so fun to feel. It feels, they have a solidity, even though they're so messy. I feel like these beginning ones have such a nice solidity compared to the way things would look if they'd been outlined. Like, then they're more flat. Like, this almost has more depth and feeling and energy. And I get just way too excited about this, but I think it's cool. And it's interesting to note, like, I think what I'm hearing you say about what you want your style to be, you probably aren't pushing this, but potentially this is the kind of thing that could be pushed, where you leave this kind of weird bleedy texture in the thin areas. And like, that's something that could be exaggerated, but may not be your deal. Not suggesting it even.
I'm trying to, I guess I would distinguish your work from those other artists we were just talking about, in that, I don't know, theirs seems a little more artificial and deliberate. Yours seems more intuitive and like in working with the image, and I don't know. Anyway, I want to, because I realize my edges are often too hard, and it's good to realize like, how wet do I have to get this paint? What kind of brush do I need to use? What kind of stroke? So I'm trying to absorb that. Yeah.
Well, and I think being an artist too, like it's in the seeing as well, and you're really thinking and seeing so much that it's great. Like, you know how you noticed that thing about the Quang Ho thigh. Like if you're painting a bird feather, even if in a very small way, you took a clean soft brush and just kind of went vertically across a feather you want to stop, you could do the same thing on a smaller scale in a more subtle way. And I know that you're thinking that. I think that's really cool. Is this the same one?
Yeah, that's just like during class,
Nice.
when you finish yours up, that's how mine ended up.
I love that. I think that's an excellent point to stop at, and the perfect exercise. Like I feel what I enjoy is I feel like the speed and energy, it's like cohesive, like you've treated everything together. It's not like you just worked on the face, and so the whole thing feels like a painting created by your hand in the same with the same care, but then there's the variety of edges too. I think that it works really well. I like these brief, just boom boom, confident little I'm going to put these places here and here. Kind of just makes me believe in the process and the bird because of the confidence there. I think that looks really nice. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I did. I did have fun. I guess sometimes I wish I would stop earlier, but I think I need to figure out, I think the thing that I'm realizing is what to fix in what order. Do you know what I mean? I long time ago, I painted a quick painting of my daughter, and I looked back at it and thought, oh, I liked it better way earlier, but I kept working on it because it wasn't quite right. But maybe I should focus on only the things, the really wrong things. I don't know how to explain. I know this is a sparrow, so I kind of want the bill to look like a sparrow bill, but maybe, obviously the color and patterning maybe is not that important in the grand scheme of things, kind of thing. I had a hard time with the eye though. I have to admit, I put it in and erased it a few times. I was using the same big brush, but it's how important is the eye in this painting? Not too much, but I don't know.
Yeah, I did too. Actually, after I stopped, when I worked on mine more, I redid this over and over again because there's this kind of lighter eyebrow thing happening, which seemed important, but I must have done it about 6 times where I was put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. I was too bright, too dark. Yeah. And I think what you just asked about, which things have to be corrected or not, that's always a question. And I every painting, I think, oh, I guess, I'll think I'd still want to fix, in quotes, that one thing. But then other times I think, oh, I know I made her mouth more accurate, but now it's lost the energy. So I'm constantly asking those questions too, every single piece. It's just a personal choice and practice for that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, is that all of them? Nice. Okay. Good job, Stephanie. Okay. Thank you all for sharing all of that and having this discussion. That's awesome. Now, why don't we take a break and we will come back and look at, I have a little kind of handout thing I'm going to upload and give you. And then we'll also look at my crow reference video for fun. I found the one. So yeah, that'll be fun to look at. So let's see, can we say 11:35? Actually, I'm going to just go, or maybe let's say 11:30. We can do a 10-minute break. Does that sound good? Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if we're getting set up for painting, we're doing color and what size of, or can we paint along with you today, or?
Yeah, let's think. Okay, yeah, actually we can do 2 ways. Let's do that then. We'll do what I'm going to show you is a crow. I have a recorded demo of me painting a crow. So yeah, if you guys are keen to paint, it sounds like you might be, then let's do that. So if you set up your colors, you had my list of materials, I believe. So I I mean, I feel bad. I don't want you to use them all. I'm trying to remember which exact ones I use. I probably didn't use many of the reds if you want to save some cadmium. But definitely like a warm brown, the yellow ochre, the white, some kind of a blue. Most of the colors would be good to have out. And I'll be doing like a playback of me painting a crow that you can paint along with while I talk about it. So let's do that after the break, and then we'll look at the reference. Does that sound good?
Cool.
Okay. Okay,
Sounds
actually,
good.
let's say 11:35.
Okay.
To give us
Okay.
like okay, Joe? Yeah.
All right, yep, that sounds great.
Okay, so we'll have a full 10 minutes and see, or more than 10, it's 12 minutes or so. See you in a bit. Okay, hey, welcome back. Hope you had a drink and a little break. This was from my wall of things I love. I just wanted to show you probably poor quality, but this is the huge, I believe it's a huge swan painting that I saw once. Anyways, that's a non-cheesy swan.
Who did that?
The artist name it's spelled Jan, but I have a feeling it's Jan, like male, right? Jan Asselin, Asselyn, from the 1600s.
Wow, it's a beautiful painting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
I'm
stunning.
going to delve into it again, but I'm pretty sure it's large and it's the one I saw in London. If not, I saw another one like this. That was a powerful swan. Yeah. If we have extra time, we'll see how we do. I have a little slideshow of other animals that I've painted just for fun. If we have filler, or we can do it next week. But let's start with this little kind of handout, I was calling it. So I'll upload it to our Padlet after. And it's what we've been discussing, but this is, you know, as we know, hard and soft edges, but this is the painting that I'm going to show you in progress today. So I recorded myself painting this a couple weeks ago, so we can actually see it happen. And, you know, you guys have just done this with the homework, but it's kind of interesting when you take the actual little squares and put them down, how I've shown the areas that are hard edges with like either more contrast, really crisp, they grab your focus. They're probably sometimes and often in intentional places, either to move your eye or make a point about what you're looking at. And then soft edges are things that aren't important, where you don't want the eye to get caught. Like at the back of this shadow, for instance. I was just trying to find the like super softest edges. This one is interesting because of the background color. Like there is almost like a hardness to it, but because of the contrast and it hasn't been treated with contrast and intention, it does, his tail kind of disappears at the back there, right? Anyway, this is just something I can give you. I wish I could physically hand you a little printout, because I think it's what we've been talking about and something kind of handy. And I think it'll be fun because this is the exact painting that we're gonna paint along with, if you like, right now, or as a playback, you could paint along the way that I painted it a couple weeks ago. So let's see, painting that. I'll just got to bring up the video one sec. So that is, share screen. Okay, so first let's do, this is the speed version. You don't have to do it this fast. And I did put this one, I think, on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it on my Mel Paints Instagram, but here's the quick version of the crow. It's just 30 seconds, and then we'll go through this and you can paint along at the same time. It's actually a very similar pose to the little sparrow we did, I'm just realizing, which is kind of funny, but maybe interesting. Different beak and different kind of brow line, right? That you can tell it's a crow. Yeah, okay, so that was the speed version. And then let's, if you have your paints out, you will have noticed, as always, that like really the starting point we're looking for is, you know, something as basic as this. It's just the main area. So I'm going to do this a slower playback and kind of talk along with it, but please feel free to interject too and try to follow along as you can. So I'm going to be pausing it. This is a 7-minute video, but I'm going to kind of stop and start it. And it was taken with that app I was describing called Lapse It. So it was taken in like stop motion, so it's not completely smooth. I guess what I'm realizing, why don't I put the reference image in the chat? That would probably be helpful.
Mel, is that like a gessoed board? Is that what?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is, sorry, one second. That is a aluminum board that is gessoed actually. So it's quite smooth.
And is it white or like off?
It's kind of an off-white, and it's actually, it's oil primed. I tend to use I like using an oil primer versus gesso, especially on the aluminum. I just find it's like adheres a bit better, and I lightly sand the aluminum first. So it's one of these surfaces that I like the smoothness of it, and I really like it for the longevity and durability. I find stretch canvas to be kind of a crazy material to paint on, honestly. It's so fragile and prone to being damaged and getting damp, and there's all kinds of problems with stretch canvas, in my opinion. I even think it would be better to, even if you did paint on stretch canvas, you can mount it to something firm later so that it has better longevity. Okay, sorry, give me a moment here, and hopefully you guys are still setting up too. I'm just gonna find the image to put into your, here we go. There we go, to put into the chat. So if I just drop this, I hope this will come in here. And you'll notice it has funny edges. Another thing I can do, why don't I bring it up on screen right now as well, just before I go back to the video, because then some of you could, oops, I'm gonna have to, sorry, technical problems here, one sec, because that might be handy for people watching later too. Then you could just take a screenshot of this that I'll bring up in 1 second. And then you'd have that if you're not able to see the chat. I've completely lost my Zoom window. Wow. Oh, what's going on? Okay. Whew. Sorry. Okay, here's the reference image that I used. You're seeing that one, you guys? Okay, so it's kind of blurry, but he's kind of got a nice little walk going on, and yeah, that is what I used. And you can tell I ignored the paving tiles when I painted it too. But if you want to grab a screenshot of that or have that in a different window, if you're able to, that would be helpful if you like. If I do new share, does it make 2 of them? Joe, probably not.
A new share? I'm not sure.
Okay. Are you guys just seeing the video image at the moment then?
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So I kind of accidentally, but actually on purpose, left the timestamp is on here. So you can see this was painted from 3:15 or 3:18, and then it's pretty much done. I may have done a bit more at 3:45. So it's kind of a half-hour painting in real time, which is quite fast, and it doesn't always work that way, but sometimes it does.
This is about an 8x10.
Yes, it is 8x10. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and I have the real one here somewhere, but I guess we don't, it's easier to see here anyway. So I will start this playing, and my first, I think the mixture was probably phthalo or ultramarine and asphaltum, like kind of a warm dark brown and a warm dark blue to get a bit of a neutral. Come on. This is, there we go. It's just right there. So I'm just going to bring up my image for me to be able to see at the side. But yeah, I'm just getting that chest shape of the crow. The lower right, it's kind of like a diagonal swoop. and it's dripping a lot. Like I'm starting quite thinly, which can be distracting, and it's not necessary at all or even intentional on my part. But I'm going to pause it there just because that's sort of you probably need a little more time to get something like that organized. And I'm not saying it needs to be drippy, but you can see even here, there was an initial phase of a thin, medium gray. And then even now I'm finding a couple spots that are a little more important, a little more dark, but that's kind of how big and basic and quickly I would sort of do a general block in of the darks. And I was using a bit of Gamsol mixed with Galkid. I tend to use Galkid when I'm painting, especially when I'm painting on a smooth surface or aluminum, because it helps. I feel like it helps with the adhesion. I feel like it's on there. I did a bit of research into painting on these kind of poly surfaces or UPO or aluminum, and they're super archival, which is great. It's just important that the paint sticks. And so even for, just while you guys are working away, I'm just jabbering about this, but the even for outdoor signage, what they will use aluminum, and they will use an alkyd oil. Industrial paint is made from alkyd and oil. So I feel pretty confident that by using a Galkyd or like say a liquid, one of those alkyd resins with my oil paint, those are therefore similar consistency and qualities as to what they would do if this was meant for outdoors. So yeah, that's the medium, and it's quite thin there.
Don't feel like you have to wait for us. Like,
okay,
we can always finish later. Just go at the pace that you would like to describe it at. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. I was just thinking that, like, how long should I wait? Yeah. And oh, you saw see, I used my finger there. I'll sometimes use paper towel or finger to I'm just working so fast. I'm just quickly adjusting, not really thinking, to get the just to get the shapes down. And although this isn't upside down, I am really looking at things in the first phase. I'm really looking at things the way that we were when we were using the blurry upside down bird, like just almost blurring my eyes and just pretend it doesn't matter what it is. It just needs to have the right sort of shapes. So I'll leave this running for a sec, and then maybe I'll pause it again, but you can see I'm adding already a little bit of color and a little bit of warmth as compared to his underside there. And I drew this, okay, let's stop, because I intentionally drew this little ball. It's not like I normally do this, but I wanted you to see that this is sort of my color scheme in my mind. I was kind of realizing already, so I could talk about what those colors are. The underside here didn't get quite as dark, but I don't use black paint generally, and that's not black paint. That is, let me just peek. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was phthalo mixed with asphaltum, but like a burnt umber would be really similar. And if not, an ultramarine would also be similar, that combination, to make like an almost black. I like doing that because then right away I've already got this puddle that I could push a little browner or a little bluer. Like, it's already a mixture, and it's easy to make some fast adjustments and almost have those tools available. And then yellow ochre, it's got to be my favorite color for some reason. So I think I was mixing that in to get things a little bit warmer and a little greenish. So, you know, this is obviously kind of crazy and ugly maybe, but for me, just like looking at your studies, I love this phase because it's like an emerging shape. Like, I already kind of feel the weight, I hope. And that leg, it's kind of important for the balance, like just these angles, you know, there's really a strong diagonal here and here. It's almost an X. This leg is maybe a little less important at the moment. So just that the angles are correct. There's almost like like he's almost a rectangle, right? On an angle like that. So just anything you can think that are abstract words or words about shapes, I find that a really good way to start. Just not thinking I know I said the word leg, but not even thinking the word leg or beak, more just feeling like the weight of the shape and the placement of it and where is most dark for real. So that I think that color scheme there was getting a bit of giving him a bit of a ball already. And I was sort of pre-planning here that, and this isn't something I normally do. I did this for the sake of this exercise to sort of show that this would be the plan, to be like these cooler darks made of asphaltum, phthalo and stuff, and then warming it up a bit with some ochre, and obviously with white, it's then a cooler greens and light colors. The background was already a bit of a creamy off-white, like Stephanie noticed or asked about, and I think in the end I end up darkening it down a bit, but going with that similar background color. I think I kept it to be like a kind of a cool cream though, so that I wanted him coming forward. It just felt right, basically. All right, I'll keep that playing. This is about a third of the way through the total painting time at this point. So the beginning is important. And the use of those greens is that's quite a lot lighter than the underside. So even though it's a black bird on a white background, there's a range of subtlety going on that I've exaggerated that compared to what I see in the reference. I'm going to just pause. Hopefully those of you watching back or even now can see the reference image. In the reference image, I think it would be quite easy to just see almost a black underside and almost a white topside on the crow. But I've intentionally found that middle kind of almost stretched out the mid-range so that there's more detail, or not more detail, so that there's more form, I think is why, and more mood and more solidity and atmosphere. Because doing just black and just if you did almost black and almost white on the bird's form, it would be quite flat and not as three-dimensional. So that is why, and I'm just kind of giving you a moment in case you're catching up or checking it out. But I like these muted green colors, sort of like a lot of my work. I like the cohesiveness of things. It makes it easy to maybe make subtle choices and adjustments along the way because they are all so close anyhow. So it's kind of an accidental tactic that just happens. And I think what I'm about to do here is probably look at the shadow, because it's important to treat everything as connected. I haven't done anything in the background yet, I think because it's already basically the right version. Oh, there was a bit of thumb action there where I just wiped the beak position. Not totally recommended to get paint on your hands, but I sometimes do. Don't get cadmium in your mouth, I know that. And here's where up at the top there, I think I was starting to check and think about which background color. You saw that first I did one that was too light. Oh, and I'm wiping away the circle because I don't want that in my finished piece. Yeah, so it's actually, I did go warmer, a little warmer and deeper because it was quite a big contrast. I feel like on the right there, I was testing out that sort of got too pinky. And a lot of these marks, I'm not sure which, we'd have to look at the final, but a lot of these marks might end up being the final. Like perhaps that could just be it for the back of the leg, right? If it's okay, just leave it. I don't know whether I adjusted that later, but to me, it looks like that's one that could stick. And it's all done quite quickly. There's one of those marks where it broke right into his neck to connect. Maybe we'll take a little pause here because this is at about 2/3 of the way through. And I feel like that phase there was about slapping in the background, choosing what temperature and value the background is, and sort of connecting it or edging it up to the main form in some ways. He's got a bit of a hunchback happening now. And I do think that was something I struggled with near the end too, like deciding where to do. And the same thing happened when I was working on this black and white sparrow. Actually, I don't know if you guys found that. This was a place where I kept on reconsidering where that shape was and if it felt, it's important, I think, to feel that the back of the bird and the posture. And I think that was a place in the sparrow that I kept correcting and adjusting. And I believe I'm going to be doing that here too. I think it's important that I'm seeing right now there, if I was to choose like 4 black areas, there's a horizontal kind of brow there. There's like this chest, but it's not the bottom of the chest. It's right in the foreground, which allows for that reflected light feeling. I mean, and this just happened intuitively. And then there's kind of 2 chunks where the feet are landing, because there was quite a strong shadow in the reference. But again, just like the bird, it would be easy to paint that shadow, or it would be not easy. It might be, the first impression might be to paint that shadow as a flat, solid color, which it kind of is, but I think it's nice to keep some variation and interest within the shadow as well. And yeah, it's looking very greenish. It wouldn't matter what color scheme you had, as long as it was cohesive and soft like this. And just important point now, I think this is kind of almost the phase we were at maybe after the black and white demo yesterday, or the phase I was at anyhow after the demo. Maybe I maybe went a little further during our time together, but after this is when it's decision-making time about what, like Stephanie was saying, that's exactly what's always on my mind. Like what is wrong, what really needs to get fixed, and what's kind of okay, and what's kind of fun. What's distracting? Where does your eye bounce around, and should it? And is it okay? Not everything has to be perfect technically, but it does have to be the way you want it to read, and you have to decide where you want attention to go. It's time to get manipulative, right?
So Mel, I'm interested in, since we're doing color for the first time, how did you choose the colors? Because they're not quite the way that I see them, obviously, in the reference image. So how do you make those decisions?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it sort of is, I do sort of see them. But I guess it comes from just my initial palette. Like when I first started painting, I was trying to keep things simple because I was painting people from at our life drawing group, and I was using a semi-Zorn palette. So everything kind of came out of that. Zorn palette being basically black, red, yellow ochre, and white.
Yeah.
With the addition of some blues. So starting from that kind of basic palette, I think I became practiced at using a cohesive muted palette. And these are just sort of colors I like. But I do think that same with the little sparrows that had different colors, I think, like, I didn't really think about it at the front of my mind, but I do believe in talking to you guys that I do kind of visualize a color scheme a little bit in starting out. And I guess with this one, I liked the idea of crows have such a blue-black kind of feeling that I feel like I was sort of setting up to hold and support those few real darks. Like crows are so black, but I don't want if the whole crow is all black, then you're almost like, you're not letting the black be I kind of want to set up the black to be the juicy meaning, if that makes sense. And if I made it all black, it just wouldn't be. So yeah, but this also could have been done in, say, more of these tones, like from blacks to bluey grays. It wouldn't have to be yellow that you add. Yeah, you could do whatever you want. I would love it if any of you want to try a different color scheme. That would be super fun. I'm looking at the reference now and trying to think of what I could see. Like you could do, yeah, I mean, even if the light or the background was almost pinky, like a subtle pinky pale, and if the underside of the crow became more greenish. I mean, that's a little bit of what I have going on here. Like I wouldn't go so far as to call that pink in the background though, but you could push things in multiple ways.
I like the variety that you've added. I mean, I guess I just see the shadow as very blue, and I see like all the shaded parts of the crow as very blue. And then
Mhm.
the top, definitely warmer, but I don't know if like greenish is the first thing that would have come to my mind. And so I'm always kind of interested in how people, you know, that's one thing that I do struggle with, is like maybe being a little too literal sometimes with the colors that I see and use.
Yeah, I've definitely considered the same and wondered the same thing myself. It's funny, it's for you to say that. Like, I definitely, when I was at that Jeremy Van workshop, he was pushing us to try to imagine color, and I thought, how do you do that? Like, I just couldn't get my head around it. And so it's interesting that you're saying you see me doing it, because I feel like I kind of don't. Like, maybe I do almost see those colors, and it is something I'm trying to push more. So yeah, all I can say is, yeah, I just kind of look. I think a good way to go might be to look for pick one thing you like what do you want the dark to be, and then how do you want to support it. It would be really fun to see this in more blues and pinks than greens and yellows. But I do notice how I'm intentionally finding midtones and not letting this be all black, black, black. And an easy way to do that is to do, I guess it's what we did there, is do the dark area in a middle dark, so that then you can actually go a smidge deeper. Therefore, you're almost like creating reflected light. Like, if you give yourself room to go a little darker and room to go a little lighter later, I call it kind of saving the wow. If you let yourself have that space, you're set up to be able to adjust on the fly as you go, kind of, well, quick, it doesn't have to be quickly, but as you go. So I'm going to restart it. And so now we're kind of 3/4 through the recording time, or the real time. And here I'm pushing, I'm just going to pause that, because this is where I was checking out. I'll just go back a little bit. It's interesting I was looking at the shadow, and I think I was thinking, ooh, it could be a little bluer. So it's a place where I thought it would be fun to push a bit of color, a bit of chroma. And I added some blue and thought, oh, it could be a bit more blue, a bit less blue. It's just kind of testing it out. And I love oil for that. You can try it and then decide whether you like it or not. I'm enjoying it the way that there's this gray on the chest. I hope I leave that. I think I did. Ooh, I think I did. And that was necessary, right? That's little highlight in there to really pop the leg. I'll just pause again because it's so fast. I'll just go back actually and just redo that little part, because those were some important little quick forming decisions. I think it's nice for me having this on video, because then I know what I did, and I know I can talk and paint at the same time.
Ooh.
Yeah, that little mark I like, and kind of defined the that awesome like backwards leg shape.
What is this brush that you're using?
Oh, this is definitely one of my favorites. It's made by Princeton. It's Egbert is the name of the style. Like, the shape of the bristle is like a really long filbert called an Egbert. Different companies make them, including Rosemary, I think, as you said.
Yeah.
But this is a Princeton, I'm just looking, Princeton Refine, and it's a Egbert, it's a number 6, and it's bristle, like natural bristle. I just use natural bristle, I guess, because I don't mind the scratchy marks, and because I'm really hard on my materials. Like, this is a clean brush for me. That's why when you held up your brush, I was like, where'd you get that brand new brush? I was in a workshop once, and the guy beside me said, how are you going to clean your palette? And I said, I just did. Like, it is clean. And he had one of those, like, those super nice, was it like Edge Pro, or the ones that look like a laptop and they were glass? And he was like, like detailing everything. And I have this like sloppy, it's a piece of glass in, actually, this is a random tip, but they make them for acrylic painters called Stay Wet by Masterson. Yeah. It's kind of like, it's basically a square little Rubbermaid thing with a lid, but I've got those in a couple sizes, and I just get a piece of glass cut at a picture framer. And then you have a glass, I put duct tape around it so you don't get cut, but then I have a glass palette with a lid, which is excellent if you're going to like a life painting group or plein air or something even. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I wanted to just replay those little highlights there where I added some sharps behind the legs, I guess. And I think here I'm just considering what is the value of that shadow, and can it be I kind of almost softened and lightened it there. Compared to what it was. And you can see my brush is just kind of bouncing around everywhere. I try to consider everything. If possible, I like to do things all at once and not get too hung up on, say, just the face or feathers. It's nice when I think it's nice. I like my work when the whole thing feels cohesive and like it was all cared about at once. It kind of makes it feel like a believable environment, maybe. You can just feel the energy in that. I kind of like that squidgy little thing that happened there. Oh, and that is yeah, so that's basically as far as the video goes. That is about half an hour of painting in real time, which I
love the marks that you made on the below. They're not really the tail feathers. It's like where the butt is.
Yeah, what is that?
Sorry, Stephanie. Stephanie, sorry, I'm using the wrong words here. Like where the vent is, not really the vent, but
is that a wing? I guess it's
the rump.
The rump could be the rump. Where those like this, no, below that.
This thing, yeah.
Love those marks. Those are so cool.
Oh,
yeah, that's the wing. That's just the wing, like
the other wing.
Yeah.
Wing. Yeah, I guess that's the wing coming forward. And do you mean like kind of how it's thin here, Regina?
Yeah, I love that. That's just a little passage that I think is really compelling somehow.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it just kind of worked because I think because these are, you can tell those are like the very first slap in, and I guess it just got left there. So I kind of like it when that happens. I love looking at, there's a Rembrandt eye detail I often use in teaching, and if you look really closely at his eye detail, you can see so easily which are the thin underpaintings. Like it's almost like listening to the story of his process. You can actually see the layers and you can understand the way it was done. I think it's really interesting. Jenny Saville is an incredible painter of faces, huge, but in her work too, you can clearly see those thin underlayers, and then it gets juicier and juicier. She's an incredible painter and user of paint, user of oil paint. So, and she's a fairly young woman, which is awesome and doing really well. So that's always exciting and rare. So I like to see that. It's cool. Okay, so I hope you guys had some fun painting along, or you can in the future. I could upload, I'm gonna just write down what I need to upload for you. I'm gonna upload that little handout sheet. I'm gonna upload this. I can upload the 30, hopefully I can do the 30-second and the 7-minute version of this if you would like to watch it back. Although you could watch this replay of this chat as well. And I will upload the reference picture that I used. So you have that. What else do I need? That's about it. Okay, so we're at perfect timing. I was hoping we'd have like at least half an hour left now. You can continue painting away or doing as you like, but what I will show you now is some of my reference gathering process.
Oh, yeah.
So I almost lost my mind, but I went through like 5 different crow reference videos I had taken, and I think I found the moment that this guy was taken from. So let me find that for you. Sorry, I'll just have to find the video, but yeah, it's hard to re-find it again. I did get it. Original video. Here we go. Okay. So this is at my favorite restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants on Salt Spring Island, called Treehouse Cafe. It's so cute. It's like, it has a tree right in it if you ever come here.
Oh, cool.
Nice. If you ever come here, we'll go for coffee and feed the sparrows, but we'll have to ask Stephanie what we're allowed to feed them. And the restaurant doesn't like it if you feed them, but we could just look at it. Okay. So here's the exciting video of some pavement. It's only 1 minute, so I'll just play it real time and then I'll show you how I
Yeah, that'd be great.
freeze frame it. Oh no, there might be people talking, hopefully not me. I'll turn the volume down. Here comes one. And the light is what's challenging, especially with crows. Like I like that. I often like backlit birds or things or people, so that helps. And you can see how it got kind of a bluish glow there. I think I was possibly touching, if you touch your screen where the dark areas are while you're filming, it'll brighten up those areas. I was just attempting. And there's some people who, oh, so there's lots of gestures happening. Like you can see how in like 10 seconds, there's just so much going on, but often the lighting is a challenge.
I would need to curb my photo taking habit to have enough space for the videos on my phone.
Yes.
Maybe it would be a trade-off.
It does take a lot of space. And then I tend to end up, so after I take a video like this, I guess that's close to the end. And I took like 5, right? I will replay it on my phone and then actually take a screenshot. Do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it not on an Apple, but I presume all phones can do it. You just take a screenshot and then all those screenshots become photos in my library, taking up room too. But then I can go through and select them. So let me show you another.
You're lucky. Our crows here are so afraid of people. Like we get them coming into our bird bath sometimes, but if I even open the door to go outside, they're gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Probably because I live in a touristy area. Maybe they're used to being.
Well, and I live in a redneck area. They're probably used to being shot at.
Oh, that's sad.
It is.
Yeah. So here's an example of some of the shots that I grabbed. And there was a couple, these may not have been from the 1 minute,
The
one that I showed you. I had a few others, but you can see just kind of like this one's interesting with the mouth open. That might be fun. This is almost what we used, but I think it looked a little too tilted and curious. And you will notice as well, I should note the photo I'm going to upload for reference that I painted from in this demo. You'll notice that I rotated it a bit because I liked his gesture, but he felt like he was falling off the page. So I rotated the whole thing a little just to make it a comfortable position. And I took the taking off flying one are kind of interesting, but I think that would make a weird, I can't click. It would make a weird painting, but it just, you wouldn't think it's a crow. So I decided it wouldn't work. Some things don't work in translation, but it might be fun to study or.
That one's so cool. I like that because he's just like his feet are still on the ground and he's just lifting off. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
It's pretty good. Kind of looks like a chicken somehow. Although chickens don't fly, maybe because it feels like it's an effort like to lift, and this is quite a handsome pose.
Yes.
But maybe a little dark. Okay, so let's go back to the video and I'll show you the sort of, oops, where did it go? 1 second. Yeah. Sorry, I closed the video and now I gotta open it again and share it again. There we go. Okay. So I don't know if like I could upload this video for you too if you want to practice. Like I will tend to I'll drag the timer like this and just see, like I feel like something like that, like the lighting is a challenge. There it's just too dark. It's not close enough to get the detail. So it's kind of a matter of waiting and choosing what looks neat. That has a weird back light, and then like that's kind of cool actually. That might be something I would grab a screenshot of because it's cool how the foot comes down. I would probably just ignore this bird and consider that. What's kind of neat is that I like how the background, it would really fade into the background, and it would be finding that middle area. I think that would be a fun one to do. Actually walking away, I don't think I grabbed one of that. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's really yelling. Grumpy. Ooh, and this foreground looks quite predatory there, hey? But it's just, I think it's pretty fun. It just from a quick video, I mean, even 10 seconds with sparrows as well, they move so fast, but you can sometimes get a quick succession of head tilts that are all quite different. So those series of birds I did, they were all from, some of just really short video moments, but they're quite good models. They do a lot of different motions. And I don't know birds that well, but I love Stephanie's comment, and you'd be good at thinking about this. Like I like to, I don't know, try to think what looks kind of natural. I guess I've seen crows enough to know what feels like a typical crow move, maybe. I don't know. It's whatever you find that's kind of beautiful. Like the way that it's looking up. And I think if I can't really zoom in for you here, but I feel like there's a nice light, like a subtle light on the side. That's quite a good little portrait happening there. And it's neat how this foot disappears, as does this one, but in different ways. So that would be a moment I kind of enjoy. Yeah. Oh yes, I was going to find the exact moment that okay, wait, I think it was right around here. Okay, here it comes. Oh, that might have been it. I think it was this. Oh, not quite yet. Yeah, it was right in there. It was that right. Yeah. That step is downwards, but I know it was right in here because of this rock.
I can see the rock in the picture. Yeah.
Yes. Trust me, I spent like an hour trying to find this moment, but I really wanted to show you like that is is that it? Almost. Yeah. I can't see.
And you tilted it.
Yeah, and then I rotated it because it felt like it was falling off. But I think I liked the kind of inquisitive, like there's almost like a twist of the head.
Yes.
Something happening there that I enjoyed. Oh yeah, now I'm looking at it. It was actually back. That's pretty close, isn't it? Yeah, that's almost the moment. I found it. Although the heel or his back heel is actually into the light. So anyways, it's hard to get the exact, there, see where the heel was up.
Yeah.
It's hard to put, but you believe me, right? You believe me.
I could see, I printed out and I'm holding it up as we speak. Hey! Like that's where the little rock is right. If you back it up like 2 steps.
Yeah, the rock is there, and then here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right around there.
Almost right around there, yeah.
That's kind of neat with the foot too. So, not that that was necessarily the best one ever. There's a million. And even if you pause it a second, that's nice too. The head is just nestled right in. Yeah. Anyhow, you get the idea, right? I just wanted to share that with you. So you can see how I do it. You can get so many pictures out of just a quick clip. I actually did a series of people at the beach from a really quick pan at a beach. I knew there'd be great characters there. It was kind of a redneck beach that I didn't actually want to go to, and we were on a road trip, and my kids were just done, and I said they couldn't get out of the car, but I was like, stop the car. Get out of the car. I just ran down to the beach and did a quick pan, and from that I grabbed so many little background people and I think I must have done like 8 or so paintings of people at the beach. Wow. So same works with other subject matter. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I see Inga.
Hi. Sorry to be so late.
No worries. Nice to see you. And you can watch the replay.
Yes. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
good to see you all too.
Pardon?
Good to see you all too.
You
all
too.
of you. Yes.
I hope you weren't spending the morning rescuing my nephew or anything.
No, nothing like that. No.
All right. So that's how I work with the reference. What else did I want to show you? Oh, I have a few others. Okay. I have a few others. Let me show you this other screenshots that I took I did show you a quick, oh my gosh, too many windows open, it gets confusing. I showed you the little kind of contact sheet,
Yes.
but I want to show you, yeah, this was a folder I made. Okay, open that, and these, I'll show you the selection of my favorite ones from that. There we go. Sure. Yeah, I think these are from, that's a pretty classic. That might, is that a raven?
No, that's a crow.
Oh, okay. Thanks. That's a weird pose, like such a kind of cowering, strange one, but just kind of different. So almost
Ooh.
too dark, almost too dark, but
That is a raven. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, with that beak. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Could be
I
a
thought this could be interesting as long as it could bring some light into
Wow.
here.
He's beautiful.
Kind of a neat pose. And with most of these, I would choose to not pay attention to the background. Like this is at a funny angle and wouldn't be helpful. I would probably just blur that out. Maybe even could be similar to the rock colors so that you don't have to describe, you know, the rock or the moss. But you know, there's a bunch of, there's one of the flying ones I was considering. Kind of funny.
It's beautiful.
Neat, hey? And it's low res, but it works. So yeah, another.
Oh, wow.
And even to just do quick pencil scribbles or something, it helps get a feeling for the form of the crow. So yeah, my point is just that video is great. It doesn't have to be high res, at least for the style of work I'm doing. There's the,
I love
it doesn't even look like like, I just feel like this is the kind of image where I'm like, oh, that's neat. But then when I imagine it painted, I think it wouldn't read as a crow and would be really strange, but like that.
It looks like he's dancing.
I know, and it looks like a humongous eye. Like it almost looks like a cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't know, something just, I think something is, it reminds me of like a cat leaping. Like, isn't that weird? Anyway, kind of fun. That's kind of, this is a really cute pose. There's quite a head tilt that would be tough to see, but like you can tell the actual angle of that brow. It's almost like that's an ear. Do crows have ears? If it's like listening.
It's just a hole in their head with like
Yeah.
kind of loose feathers covering the hole. So they do sometimes, like, you can see, depending on the light, you can see something there.
That's quite neat how the reflected light is coming in. I'll just show this as a whole contact sheet. So these weren't even my favorites. These were the alternatives, and then the ones, yeah, these ones, I think I had called them favorites. So these were the ones, oh yeah, because here's the one I ended up working from, right? That I can upload for you, but here are some where the lighting is almost funny, but it wouldn't matter for painting. You could decide to push those darks. It might be a little too washed out. I tried to choose ones. I quite like this one. This one's kind of, oh, I painted this as well.
Yeah,
Painted this in the same phase. I have like, so the way that I painted the demo one for you, I painted this one next as another 8x10. He's kind of prancing. That little foot's kind of fun. Yeah, so here, those were just some other favorites for you. So I'm just trying to decide for sure about what to do for homework for you guys. Yeah. Well, yeah, any comments or questions about the reference taking?
It seems like the ones that you can that you automatically say, nope, this is probably not going to be good painting, are the ones where the light doesn't give you enough information to read into, like, or the darks are dark and you don't get enough information.
Yes. Yeah, lighting is kind of everything. And a lot of times I'll see a little, like a robin or something, if it's in a tree, and if you go to like take it, just becomes a silhouette. It's really hard to be close enough and have the lighting decent enough. Sometimes I'll, like, if you put your phone on zoom ahead of time, quickly find the right spot and touch the bird on the screen, it'll do that brighten thing. But these aren't amazing photographs, and it's definitely a challenge. But yeah, you're right. If the lighting isn't okay, you don't have enough info. It's okay to have not a ton of info, but you need enough to show that, to have that kind of ball thing happening where there's some lights and some middle and some dark. I mean, ideally. And then also I like it to be an interesting gesture, both for the animal, like to be doing something that seems to either have emotion or personality injected, or like kind of almost like a narrative, which is my least favorite word, but like have some energy. And then the other consideration, sometimes there'll be a cool pose, but then you have to think about what shape canvas you're working on, or how it's going to crop or rotate. So sometimes like there was one, I think the one where I said it was cowering. So it almost looked like a bowl. Like it was like the whole thing was like, so it might be okay on a horizontal, but then I also felt like, well, is that a bit of a negative mood anyhow? Airplane. So yeah, so many considerations, right, into what you want to choose. And I think all of us would find different ones to be our favorite for different reasons.
But it's interesting to hear how you process out, like how you go, this is an automatic no. Like that's helpful to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's fun to show you like a variety there, and then my favorites. I'm thinking that for homework, like we'll definitely upload the crow that I painted and ask you to paint it in color, and you can kind of use the colors that I talked about and follow along with my demo recording. And then I was wondering if I uploaded, I think it would be fun for me to upload that video of the crows that I showed you that I took, and have you try to take screenshots that you like of it, even if you don't show me, just to do it, or to practice doing that either with that video or your own if you can get one. It's a fun process to do, and it's fun to kind of go out looking for birds of any sort. Really, chickens are fun. If you know someone with chickens, you can get closer to them, which is nice. Ravens are skittish and far away. Robins seem rare. I only have that one robin. They're more skittish, I guess. Here for me, maybe it's like the crows
Come
for
to my house.
Pardon?
Come to my house.
You've got the robins that are friendly.
You've got the robins. Well, and you know what? When we garden, if we're gardening and there's grubs, I'll put them in a terracotta, like the bottom of a flower pot, like one of those saucers, and I'll leave them out, and she'll go and eat them all. It's like the coolest thing. So they watch us when we garden.
Okay, that's what I should do. We do have robins in our driveway quite a few mornings, but we've had a cat. Well, we've had a cat till recently, so I think they know to be a little bit nervous. Which is
we've got a robin that comes to the bird bath every morning, and I've been
Aw.
trying to get a picture of it, but it keeps disappearing before I get out there.
Yeah, it's almost like you got to just make your coffee, sit and wait. Like, or sometimes glass can be hard to shoot through, but if you can get set up with your phone ready against the glass,
Yeah,
ready to roll, it's kind of fun. Like it's like a stalking exercise, right?
Last summer we had baby robins, and I kid you not, I was out in the garden and baby robin landed on my head.
oh my.
Like it was the kind of thing I was like, oh, cute. I know. And I was like, oh my God, don't move. And then I think it realized what it had done. It was like, oh crap, and flew off. But it was it was like, oh my God, a robin landed on my head.
Adorable and awesome.
It was so cute.
Oh, I love it.
Well, my a tuxedo cat, he can't take his eyes off the hummingbirds. He loves hummingbirds, and he's like, "Ooh."
That's cute.
Yeah, hummingbirds are pretty hard to photograph. I've never painted them. That would be tough. I think you might need a better camera to pull that off. Yeah. And then I feel like hummingbirds are a bit like swans, where how would it be not cheesy?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I'm labeling those two birds, but yeah,
they're so colorful.
Yeah, maybe they're so specific, or maybe they've been used a lot in other imagery that we associate it, because I feel like sparrows and crows, I like their humble everyday nature. And I think then we're not confronted with the, you know, the image of it, and it's more about the shape or what the gesture is. I think if it's a I don't know. It's a good challenge though, to paint like a non-cheesy hummingbird and swan. Yeah. Or I don't know, or like a parrot. Like how could you get past the parrotness? Maybe. I've seen some, somebody did some beautiful birds too. Yeah, there's a lot of
I bought a book at the Musée d'Orsay. I was in France for 2 months of, I think it's just called Birds and Art. I mailed it to myself though, because I bought like 20 art books, and I was like, they can't all fit in my suitcase. So they have a special mailing rate for books from France. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. If only in France, they have to be mailed internationally, and they have to be about science, art, or one more topic. So it's like they will give you a reduced rate because they're exporting their culture around the world.
Oh,
So, but you have to know, and you have to say, this is livre et brochure, and then they'll give you the special rate. Anyway, it's called Birds and Art, and it's cool. It has like a whole diversity, you know, like I went to there's a Manet Degas exhibit right now at the Musée d'Orsay, and there's like a painting of Degas I'd never seen before, of a woman with like 2 red ibises around her. Anyway, that painting's in there, like some like just close-ups of birds, but a few of like or like the Manet picture of his wife with the parrot on. Anyway, it's cool because it's not just like bird portraits or bird still life, but it has like a diversity of birdie topics.
Ooh, that's awesome. That'd be really fun for you, especially. Yeah.
I couldn't resist. I was like, oh, this is cool. I bought it.
Oh, I wish because when I was there, we were traveling a few places, and I thought I can only have one book, and my suitcase was already overweight. So I picked just one book, but I wish I'd mailed a whole bunch to myself.
Yeah, because I've discovered, because you know, I always looking out for like, I'd like to buy a good Vuillard book or Caillebotte or like, and then I look for it online. It's like, has nobody written any books about these people? Like, why can't I find anything good? And then you go there and you're like, oh, because they're all like published by small French publishers or the museums themselves. And they're all in French, and they're not online. And so I was like, this time I knew better. So it's like, okay, I'm buying a bunch of books and mailing them. I must have spent like a lot of money, but even used ones, like I stop at all the used bookstores, and I like, what, 10 euros for this amazing book on, yes, the French Impressionists. So yeah.
Museum bookstores are the best.
I know.
Hard to leave room. You got to remember to leave room in your suitcase on the way there to bring some back. Or mailing, that's a good tip. It's cool.
Joe posted a beautiful, the painting I think you were speaking of, Stephanie.
Yeah, isn't that such a gorgeous painting? I've never seen that before.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Ooh, cool. And the birds are so graphic, kind of.
And it's like, somehow, you know, like if I told you that, you would think it was pretty cheesy, but somehow, like, I don't know, he's just done it. And I saw it in person when we were there, and I was like, yeah, it kind of shifted in my mind what I thought a Degas painting, you know, would normally look like.
What's interesting is that must be imaginary.
Yeah, I don't know how he did that, but he did like to paint from life though, so I don't know how he managed it, but
Degas also used.
Stephanie, what's it called?
Yeah.
Inga was asking what it's called.
The painting itself, I'm not sure.
I've
got a picture of it on my phone with the title, but I don't.
It's titled "A Young Woman with Ibis."
Oh,
By Degas. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just one ibis on its own, maybe that would be more cheesy. She's just so beautiful. It's so interesting, and the colors are crazy. Yeah, that's a super interesting Degas. Wow.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
If we do our homework from our own reference photo, do you want us to upload the reference photo too?
Sure, that would be great to see. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, so please feel free to paint the crow from my reference using like looking at the video. And then as a second, I'll write this out in the Padlet thing too. I'll type it out. But as a second thing, I will attempt to upload that crow video and try, you know, choosing your favorite, like say 3, your favorite little moments or poses, if you can grab a screenshot of it, or do that with your own video, if you can do that as an alternative or in addition. Yeah, just kind of checking out, choosing reference and trying painting in color. I think that's good. And because we have a minute, I mean, yeah, I'm happy to welcome any other discussion or questions, but I could also show you, I have gathered a few images of other animals I've painted that are not birds, but like, I just called it not birds, but it's,
I would love to see those.
yeah, just because it's the same concept. And it would even apply to people, but I didn't make that. Or is it not
People are
birds?
too scary to me.
Yeah, people, no, but see, if you practice painting, yeah, cutlery and apples and birds, and it's all the same, really.
Yeah, but it's the likeness. There's so much pressure on that. Like, and
Yeah.
and if you're trying to paint loosely and capture the likeness, it's like, what is the most important thing? How do you paint this in the most simple way, but it would still look like the person? That's always the part that freaks me out.
Yeah, totally. And I don't enjoy or do commission portraits for that reason, because I love to paint people, but I'd rather pay a model than have them be paying me to look like them, because then it's kind of, it's just a different thing. If someone's commissioning a portrait, it does need to look like them. And
yeah. But I'd love to paint more like pictures of my kids, or, you know, and not necessarily, not portraits, like just moments, but
yes,
it's hard. I don't know.
Well, if they're distant or like part of a scene, then sometimes it can be more about the gesture, almost like these, right?
Yeah.
It's harder to let go when it's a person you know, especially.
Oh.
Or do like Mel has shown us and blur the image.
Yeah, blur the people so you can't get too detailed, but it's so hard when it's your kid. There's a lamb, obviously. Really muted. These are all quite small. I think that's like six, maybe 5 by 7, something like that. Really little. Yeah, and again with the subtle colors, but I like a little bit of pink in opposed to all the murky green. This was in my trying to use color phase. So, it got cropped from Instagram, but it was horizontal. But that's like a neighbor's dog that was just at a barbecue thing. And I loved it had that contrast in color. So that was really fun to push. This was definitely added kind of last, like how emerald do I want to go? So that for me, that felt extreme.
I love that one.
Thanks. I think more color is fun. It's harder to manage the edges with strong color. This is quite an older cow.
Mel,
yeah.
are you on the white lines that define the around the legs? That's scratching into it, isn't it?
Yeah, I sometimes use the back, like just the back end.
Back of your brush. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. Yeah.
You know how we were talking about, like, especially Stephanie or others, about finding what brush works for you or what's right for you. So that scratching thing first happened when I was in a workshop, and I got really mad because the teacher said something about it being just a study or it had to be more defined. And I was just like, I was mad at myself too, and just frustrated. And I just like scratched in an edge because I really needed an edge. And then I was like, oh, that's actually it works. So sometimes, I don't know, sometimes when I'm mad, I learn things.
Yeah. That's what, yeah, me too. Yeah.
So there's you can see some scratches. This was actually a demo for Penn Studio School in the last workshop I did about working from reference. Actually, I think it was more specifically about just that. And so we've talked about a little bit of that today, actually. But yeah, this was done live. It was nerve-wracking because the head was totally in the wrong place, but I managed to adjust it. So I ended up actually really happy with that. And it's at a gallery now.
It looks great.
This is quite an old one, long time ago.
It's quite small, Mel.
Yeah. I'd say they're all under, the dog was actually a little bigger, maybe 8 by 10 or bigger, but most are in 6 or 8 inches on the longest side kind of thing. Sheep, we have lots of sheep on Salt Spring Island, and it's so vague, right? But it's sort of like the chicken walking away. I like the idea of 2 animals together. I might start trying to do that more than just one. it's different for composition too.
Yeah.
Oh, fish is kind of crazy, but I was like, well, those are animals. That was at a like one of those outdoor stores where they have a big tank. So I just stood there but it's amazing. The shapes are fun. And I liked finding how vague can they be as they get farther away? Like how little can you put and it's believable as a group of fish. Yeah, and the colors were just so different. I'm usually working, it's still kind of obviously murky and warm, but for me, that was greens and blues were a bit more. So yeah, that's just some extra not birds, but same, the same thing applies to everything. That's what I like about art. And there's always more to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are lovely.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're all great.
It's fun to do. Yeah, and lately I've been painting all portraits actually. So I have a show coming up in Sydney, BC, and I'll be promoting it soon. I haven't posted many pictures, but it ended up being all portraits, which are portions of old masters paintings. Like I just grabbed bits of paintings that I loved and tried to do like the most loose kind of copy isn't even the word. It's more like a little interpretation of the faces out of the paintings. I don't know, kind of just developed that way, but it was pretty fun. But it's a little nerve-wracking having a whole show of all portraits. But I'm really excited about it.
Like a room full of people.
Pardon?
It's a room full of people even before you had to be in there.
It was weird. My studio felt really full. Yeah, because there's 29 of them in the show. So like a lot of them are tiny, but I feel like, it was kind of sad delivering them all. Like they're all gone now. It's kind of empty in here. I still, but yeah, it's interesting to do. Oops, I'll turn that off. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Joe. You put the title of that painting too. Yeah. Okay, well, we're a tiny bit early. Any other questions or anything? No, you good? Thanks for chatting. I'm so happy to have you guys. Are a nice group. I'm always scared it'll just be me talking for 3 hours. Like it's really nice to have the interaction. I think that it helps everybody. So I appreciate it.
I think the fact that it's not too big is helpful, right? Because otherwise you don't want to like monopolize, or you say one thing and you're like, okay, I've had my one say, because I don't know, it just feels nice, interactive.
Yeah, it's great. It really helps me, and I think it adds to it a lot to have some conversation between us. It get more out of it, because whatever you're thinking or asking, someone else might be do. So that's good. Yes. So I have some things to upload in the Padlet. I'll put that little handout crow thing I made, and my crow reference, the live crow video, and I guess I won't upload the demo, hey Joe, because you guys can see that in this playback. Or I'll try. If it's easy, I'll do it. Even the 30-second one is kind of fun to see too.
Yeah, they're all in they'll all be in the Zoom recording.
Okay, right, of course.
Too.
That's right.
Yeah,
So for that,
I have a question because I came in so late, so I'm not really clear on what the homework is. I've got here upload crow and do a crow in color.
Yeah, so Inga, I did a little I recorded myself. I previously recorded a painting in progress, and I played it back, so you can use that to look at along with my reference image and paint a crow using the image, and you can watch the video of how I
right.
too.
Okay, so
that's the main homework, and then the kind of second homework is to look at my video clip of the crows.
Yes, and choose one. Okay,
or try taking your own video of any kind of bird.
Well, I have a bird bath outside the other side of my building, where I fill it with water, and all the crows shows up with somebody who's feeding them dried bread, and they come and dunk. So they're all fighting for space on it. So that might be an interesting video for me to be choosing a group or two, crows with something in their mouth and so on. So I'll see what I can. Of course, they're not going to show up in the next week.
Yeah, right.
Because of what I've just said, but they're out
Yeah.
there all the time. I'll fill the bird bath again and see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes
Pigeons
a
too. Yeah.
a group of animals can be really interesting because it gets even more abstract. Like I
Yeah.
think the choices I've made for this workshop have been, it's just a single animal in the middle. It's pretty, and I often do paint that way. I think because I want to stay so loose that by doing that, it's recognizable. But I've seen some really interesting ones of, say, a group of cows where you can somehow tell it's cows, even though they all blend together. And I was just thinking that about the like crows at the bird bath. It would be interesting. Yeah. How much do you need?
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you
Yeah.
need to separate them, or do you let them join the way that the cutlery did in the
Oh.
John Redmond thing, right? Like they can be.
Yeah. 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 So I'll do my best to do that. The thing is I've got to get the storm wind. Anyway, it's fine. I'll get it done. I'm Inga. I get things done. It's all good.
See what you can do. And if you don't, even if you just look at the video I took of crows, and even if you don't manage to make screenshots, even if you just pause it yourself or think about what you like, that's all. Just think about it.
And one other question is, I have my other piece that we did from last week, and I'm sitting here looking at it. Now that I've seen your animals, I'm a little happier with it, but I haven't had the chance to have you do a critique on it. So, yeah, can I mail it to you and have you give me?
Yep. Yeah, or actually upload it. If you can upload it to the Padlet, then others can see it too, which would be nice. And I'm happy to, even if I just type you a brief note back, I'll check it out.
Okay. All right. Okay. Will do. Because I have this tendency, I'm looking at it now and I want to add red to it.
Oh.
I just want to add red. I don't know why. Add red.
You can do that. You are the artist. You can do whatever you want, but take a picture first.
Okay, I will. I promise.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're kind of early, but I think we should probably wrap up unless there's anything else.
I just posted a picture by Roger Chavez. I follow him on Instagram, and the last couple things that he posted are so soft edged. It's crazy good.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Self-portrait with easel. I love it. That's so, it's like the starts of all your paintings. It gets me all excited. Look how simple it is. Ooh, it's like he's painting in a foggy, I don't know. It's neat. Thank you. I'd love to check that artist out. That's cool.
Yeah, there's a more recent one that he just posted not too long ago on May 5th. That's a still life that, like, you can't even tell what it is, but it's so
neat.
beautiful. It's a really beautiful painting.
Awesome. Yeah, there are some. Yeah, I'll try to think if I think of any other artists along those lines. I'll
What's his name again, Regina?
It's Roger Chavez or
Yes. That's it. Yep. He actually he lives in West Philly actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
cool.
Oh, I see that you're following him.
Yeah, I think I think he built a model stand for Emily's physical school. So I went with her to pick up this big stand, and we moved in. We put it into a van, and then it was delivered to her space there. So I met him, been to his house.
Wow.
A terrific guy.
That's so cool.
His paintings are beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, just following him too. Thanks.
Yeah, and he's taught a couple of workshops actually for the school too. Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are the workshops? They're only temporarily available on video, like
up to 3 months.
Okay, for people who have prepaid, or could somebody after the fact
buy them? Right? I think you can buy them.
No, I think the only videos that can be purchased after the fact are the like demos. So if you go to the
Right.
website and you look for, let's see if I can find that. If you go to the site and you look for buy a recording.
Okay. There's some.
That's where you find that. But normally the recordings are up for 3 months following the last day of the class.
Right.
3 months.
Cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And Stephanie, I was just thinking about you. I hope you have time to look at just the very first bit, even of the first week, because I think you'll really be interested in the different artist styles, like because of what you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant to. It's just we just got back from a trip, so work and all that's been busy catching up. But yeah,
Life's crazy. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go have some lunch here.
All right.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
thank you so much.
See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
I'll
Mel.
be
Thank you,
watching.
everyone. See you next
Thank
week.
you. Have a
Bye.
great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.